Hello class, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you a different alternative for doing the ground plane here. I'm going to do it just because I'm going to do different. I don't know that's going to be as good, but I want to show you how you can sort of start to emulate how to do like a art marker technique. And I'm going to use it on the grass, but the reality is it could apply to the grass, the sky. You might keep the ground and sky as is. You might apply it to the floor plan color. You might do this trick up on the elevations, so it can really be used anywhere. It's just an idea to sort of get the juices flowing. It's pretty easy to do, which is why I want to show it. It can be used for like diagramming and lots of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the ground. Since we're going to redo it here, I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to call it ground 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a ground color, which is going to be green. I'm just going to go to the basic swatches and choose a nice lime green to do this, to do it as a base, and I'm going to draw a rectangle right over top of it. And you can play with the color. Again, I've shown how to choose colors. I'm not too worried about the colors in this. I'm just sort of moving forward. And the trick to here is to go to your appearances and to use the Scribble command, which is really a great command for making things look sketchy. So I'm just going to duplicate this layer, and I'm just so I can see things that's going forward. You can sort of do this at any point in time. I'm going to make this one, I think, lighter, so I'll come up and make a lighter green here. And so we'll see. We obviously changed the color there. I'm going to change the opacity, I think, down fairly low. I'm going to start with 40. I can always tweak things later. And it sort of makes a new green. And so I'm going to select this top fill here. I'm going to go to Effects, Stylize, Scribble. And we can see boom, 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 boom. That's what it sort of looks like. It's a base of the marker. Now, your settings might not quite be like this. If it might be some default settings, but I've changed my angle close to 0, to make it go horizontal. If I change the angle, I can make it go vertical or any angle I want based off of that. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to set it close back to horizontal, pretty close. Doesn't have to be identical, something like that. Path overlap. I like to, when I'm using marker, and again because of this, I like to make sure it's going beyond my page, but you don't have to. That's this setting here, and the variation changes how much it does there. So again, I can make it go beyond my page a little bit. My stroke width to do marker wants to be fairly wide. You might think it needs to be wider or shorter, but I can change that, right, just by going like this, and it sort of changes how close those things happen to each other. So play with it, get what you want. Curviness is you see sort of how the lines aren't straight, and so that again, it depends on how you want the marker texture to be. I'm just adding a little bit into it with a little bit of variation to it. And then the spacing is how tight or how far apart those lines are. Again, I want to the thing about markers is it produces streakiness, so I want to make sure there's enough spacing to produce that streakiness. And then if it's again by hand, I'm going to do some variation so it doesn't look like it's all identical to itself. So I'm going to set that up to something like that and say OK. Oops, I pressed cancel by mistake. So let's try again. Stylize, Scribble. I already had it set up, so it's going to come up pretty good, and I'm going to say OK that way. So it still doesn't quite look like marker yet. To really get this sort of humming and singing along, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this fill and I'm going to duplicate it again, and we can see it duplicates it on top of itself, and it starts to get an even streakier color. But I'm going to actually change the color. You could keep the color because of the way the transparencies are working, it could work, but I'm actually going to go maybe a darker color again. Maybe even change the opacity up on this one a little bit. I don't quite like, it's a little too muted. I want to change the screen out here. Like a little brighter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Scribble and probably make this tighter now for this level of one, right? So I'll go with that, just again to keep it quick. But what we're doing is now we have three colors on here, which is the dark green, the light green, and the medium green. But because the dark green and the light green have transparencies, we actually get a lot of variation of colors going sort of through this, and it looks like we've taken some markers, maybe a couple of colors, to get this green on here. Again, does this marker bottom work great with the rest of the textures and the thing I'm applying around it? No, not exactly. But certainly you can take this and apply it to the sky. This green is probably too bright now. I definitely would tone it down a little bit, but you can see it really does have a good effect and has that texture and quality to it that you want to sort of get from a drawing. So you might want to play with that, have fun with it. I might show another technique here, and good luck.